Hi, so today I'm going to be talking to us about the impact of stress on our overall health and how to manage it, right? So I'll start with a story. So around 1993, to be precise, in Nigeria, there was an election that was won and then annulled by the military junta at that time. And I was in the university, and a lot of us went out to protest against the injustice by the military government. Now, in the course of us demonstrating and protesting, bring back the election results, the police started firing live bullets and to disperse the crowds. And in that moment, I started running. Now, I ran and I was running way back to campus for safety, and along the line, I'd actually stepped on a nail, but I did not even know. I didn't know I stepped on a nail. I kept running and running until I got to a place where I was safe. It was when I got to the place where I was safe that I noticed that my leg and my foot was bleeding. And that is the role of the amygdala, which is part of the limbic system in the brain. When we are under stress, it diminishes our sensation of pain and allows us to survive the period. Now, when we are stressed, we also the body increases the secretion of a hormone called cortisol. This cortisol is a stress hormone, and this stress hormone can have various effects on the body, which in the short term is good. For example, when I had that nail in my leg and I was still running, I needed to run to escape from the police because I didn't want them to shoot me while I was protesting for democracy, right? But when you have the cortisol for a long time in your body, it begins to have very bad effects on your health. In the short term, it's good. So in the short term, the stress hormone, when you're under stress, you release this cortisol, and that cortisol will increase your heart rate, it will increase your blood pressure, which you need to be able to move. Like if you see a lion somewhere and on the street, you need to run, you need to be active, you need to be hyper vigilant. So it's good, but it's only good for the short term. It will increase your alertness, which you also need in the short term. It reduces your immune function, which you don't need right now, right then. At that moment, what you need is survival. You don't need immune function at that time. So that works perfectly. It also takes blood away from your digestive system, so you're not digesting food well, but that's okay because you need to survive. You need all the blood in your brain at that moment to survive. Now, it causes muscle tension, but you need the muscle tension. You need the muscle to run, to climb, to jump, to do whatever you need to do. But when you have the cortisol for a long time, this becomes a problem. And that's the problem with stress. And that's why we must avoid stress as much as possible. If you have this stress for a long time, then you start struggling with chronic inflammation, because the cortisol now is doing all these things that would benefit in the short term, is doing it in the long term. So you now start having problems with your digestive system, and that can lead to some autoimmune disorders. The risk of diabetes is higher, chronic inflammation. You also gain weight. There are a lot of people that I see who are obese, and when I say, hey, you need to cut down what you eat, they say, I don't eat much. I believe you. It's stress. When you're stressed, that will increase your cortisol level, which will affect your appetite and the whole metabolism, and then your cravings increase, and it's just a big mess when the stress is there. You also start having problems with your cognitive functioning. You start forgetting things. You're not able to concentrate, and you are at risk of developing things like anxiety and depression. And this is very important. A lot of people with anxiety and depression and forgetfulness, it's just stress. The solution is not medication. People come to me and like, oh, I need pills. I just need pills. So I'm like, no, let's try and see why this is happening. If you can fix the why, then you don't need any medication. And I'm hoping that this video will help today. If you are under prolonged stress, also your heart is under pressure. You start having problems on your heart, with your heart, hypertension, atherosclerosis, your risk of developing a heart attack and stroke is higher, and then you don't sleep well. In an earlier video, I'd spoken about sleep disturbances. This is a major cause of sleep disturbance. So if you don't sleep well, then your brain does not excrete its waste product, and then your risk of a stroke and dementia then becomes higher. So overall, what stress and cortisol is secretion in the body, it's good for the short term. In the long term, it is counterproductive. So we want to do everything possible to take care of our mental health and make sure that you are not stressed for a long period. Some things are not worth it. Some fights are not worth it. Some arguments are not worth it. Some job, not worth it. Employment, not worth it. Whatever will kill you, run away from it. You first need to survive before you can do any other thing. So if a relationship is so toxic that it's going to stress you out and give you all of these diseases, then you want to take a second look at it.